Tēnei hui o te ata nei, ino I tātou pere. He hono re he karoria maungaru, kāro pai nā tūna takata. E tō mātou matanu tarangi ki tātou, ki taru tō ingo. E whakawhita ana mātou ki a koe mō tēnei wā mō tō aroha tō manakitanga ki o mātou, kua hui mai I tēnei ata I runga te kaupapa nei. Arahi tia mātou e koe I roto I nei mai. Ko ihu karaiti tō mātou kaiwhako. Ake, tonu ake, āmeni. Kia ora mai tātou.
Kia ora, tēnā koe Puhiraki, tēnā rā koe hei whakateka ki tō tātou hui hui. Morena, kia ora everybody, welcome to this meeting of the Tangata Whenua Tauranga City Council Committee. I just need to do a few housekeeping items before we work through the agenda. Just some health and safety matters. If there's an emergency, I was going to say if the alarm sounds, I'm not sure if there's an alarm in it, but if there's an emergency, we've out through the tatau, through the doorway, and assemble at the far end of the marae. Also, there are two things happening in terms of recording. This meeting is being live streamed, as is the policy of council for their meetings. So it's being live streamed, and in addition to that, a documentary is being compiled around the work of the council and commissioners, etc. So we've got other cameramen, as you'll have noticed, doing some recording. Just in terms of the live streaming, that live stream is available publicly on YouTube. Also, this is a standing committee of council, and as we go through the business, if there are questions, etc., they can only be through the members of the standing committee. So if you could just observe that, please, whānau, and please turn mobile phones off. Okay, kia ora no tātou. Just leave it to me now to work through the meeting. The other thing is that we have a hākari after this, and we're wanting to move through our agenda as expeditiously as we can, so that we have time for the agenda before the commissioners depart for another engagement late this afternoon, or early this afternoon, not late this afternoon. Kia ora. So apologies, there are no apologies. No apologies have been received, so can I call for a mover that apologies be accepted? Moved by Martine, seconded Shad. All in favour? Against? Carried. Items for the public forum. There are no items for the public forum. We have one late item, which is in the PAT, which was emailed to all members, the Hairene Street bus lane report. Can I call for a mover and a seconder to accept this item? Moved by Puhiraki, seconded by Bill. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Is there any business that needs to be transferred from the public excluded to open? There's none. Is there any, based on the agenda, is there any request to change the order of business? None. Okay, we'll go through confirmation the minutes. So we have in our packs the minutes of the last TCC Tangata Whenua meeting held on the 10th of April. First of all, are there any corrections to the minutes? None. So can I call for a mover and a seconder that the minutes of the 10th of April moved Whiti, be accepted, seconded Chat. All in favour?
Aye. Aye.
Against? Carried. Declarations of conflicts of interest. Any declarations of conflicts of interest? Chad?
I just want to note it because I see in one of the reports in my other capacity providing advice to Crown on RM reform, or Hardy and I presented to the giving an update of work program. So just want to know the role within Surrey.
Okay. Thank you, Shad. Right. Now into item 8, presentations. So we've got half an hour on the agenda for presentations. We've got 2 presentations for Ngāti Tapu and Ngai Tūkairangi presentations. We're going to start with Ngāti Tapu. Kaya koe puhi.
Inoine.
Ai.
Oh. Kia ora no tātou anō. E tuatahi i te me kōrero ahau he mea mo te i roto i tēnei tipuna whare ki ngā mana o te whare mo ngā whakahua i ngā paki taro tēnā koutou ngā mihi ki ngā tipuna nei i roto i tēnei tipuna whare. Well, just for those of you, before I gave a karakia this morning, I just wanted to mention about how we're being in this place of tapu e rongo in our tipuna whare, that we have our tipuna in this whare by way of whareps around the walls, and it is a great respect that we pay them, and just to acknowledge them, that we acknowledge them and state that we're the business of our presence here. So it is part of our tikanga and kawa. Hoi anō. I feel a bit more comfortable now. Speak. And just to clear the whakawatia, the use of the cameras inside the wharerangi as well.
Kia ora.
Yeah. Hoi anō. Now, in terms of our presentation, we haven't got a lot to present. What I have here, and I think the tepu anyway has a copy of our written submissions, and to be presented by myself and my daughter Emily, who will speak to this. These are just bullet points that have been noted. We will speak to them and cover what we think is relevant and pertinent to those major points that we've highlighted. So I've done my bit at this stage and done the introduction. I'll now pass it over to
You've done the heavy lifting, Pohiraki. You did the heavy lifting. Kia ora, Emily.
where do you want to stand? Oh no, probably here. Up here. Emily, up here. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Koae, ko Waikari te marae, ko Ngāti Tapu te hapu, ko Ngaitarangi te ui, ko Rehi haka kati ko Whenua, ko Puiraki hi haka ko ki papa, well, for those of you who do not know me, I think I just got the best introduction ever of being Puiraki's daughter. But I wear a number of hats actually, and I think I've crossed paths with each and every single one of you at the tipu today, wearing various in various roles. Moreoverly, I would like to discuss the projects here at Waikari Marae. So I'll give you a quick overview in terms of our structure of how our hapu is structured, formally and informally. And it's something that we've been working on for quite some time now as a hapu. We have, sitting at the top or at the head of our hapu is our taumata kaumātua. so our kaumātua who oversee the tikanga and the kawa of our operations here at our marae. We then have our Ngāti Tapu Hapu Trust, which is also the PSGE or the settlement trust that we needed to have established for our raupatu plans. And then working alongside of those entities or in conjunction with, we have our Waikari Marae Committee, which is responsible for, well, the working party, if you like, and the operations here at our marae. And our Kahumoeangi Trust, more recently established, soon to obtain charitable trusts so that we can look at other avenues for funding to enhance our marae even further. Where I feature in those is, so
Everyone.
I have the honour of being the secretary in our Ngāti Tapu Hapu Trust, and I am the chair of our Kahumoeangi Trust, soon to be charitable trust. And for my sins, I think I got co-opted onto the marae committee as well. So. We as you do actually with your marae, even though we have a formal structure there, we're actually we're all involved in the operations and everything to do with the betterment of our marae. And if I'm being completely honest with you, as far as my mahi is concerned, this is by far the most rewarding mahi that I am involved in. To be connected to my marae and to be present on my marae, where I have learned the most about my culture and my identity. And I say that proudly, mostly because our CEO is not in the room, even though we're live streaming. But I very much love the mahi that I do for my marae. So what I've been tasked with talking to today is actually in respects to the building and property upgrades that we're undertaking here at Waikari Marae. So, which has been an ongoing conversation for us really, because our marae and all marae in Tauranga Moana, we're very humble in our operations, and we've been talking a lot around, you know, what does that actually mean? And yes, there's always improvements to be made, but when you come to our marae, it's all of whānau get involved. It's where we come to mourn the loss of our loved ones, to celebrate, to learn, and actually this is the safest place you can be as Māori and as anyone really. So part of in our operational end, we have put in strategies to improve our property, and it starts with our wharekai actually, which is I actually don't know the age of our wharekai. That just got out of my mind.
Since 1973.
Right. So back in, and there's always been concerns around the age of our wharekai. So back in October of last year, we engaged the services of a specialist building inspector to come in and give us a comprehensive building condition assessment. And we were really pleased with the results of it actually, because it settled our whānau in understanding that actually that building has got good bones. And that was the feedback that came back from the building inspector. It's got solid bones and it would benefit from a birthday, were his exact words. And it was pleasing to hear that. So, and what that then gave us was the ability to understand what was required and then how we could move forward with that. So our next steps are and which we've initiated, are to start engaging contractors, to start providing quotes for us, to then look at improving that building in its entirety. And that includes fit out, detail, and more importantly an overhaul of our kitchens. And we're very excited to be able to start that project. What that will enable us to do, so I mentioned our structure earlier on, is our Kahumoeangi Trust, soon to be charitable trust, will also enable us to look at some external funding to realise that project as well. The second project that I've alluded to here on your report is to do with our garaging. So you would have seen out in the car park we've got some hoarding that's been put up, and there's a concrete pad out there. So that is the start of the garage that we will be erecting. So we were fortunate enough to have some Ngaitarangi iwi funding to help establish that building out there. And it'll also, not only will it have a functional purpose of being able to house vans and our lawnmower and, you know, the serve as an ancillary building for a lot of our machinery, it'll also have a small office in there so that we can host Hollywood. So every Monday night we have our HBU, the iwi, I say we because I'm wearing multiple hats, the Ngaitarangi iwi has its HBU mobile health waka out in the car park. It operates from 6 till 9 every night across Tauranga Moana, but on a Monday night it's at Waikari Marae. It's our free doctor nurse service. It's a free walk-in clinic. And so what our garage will enable there is to have a nice warm dry office where we can have consultations if we need to have an overflow for that to happen. So we're very excited about that, excited to receive that funding, and moreoverly that we're also, the Marae and the Hapu Trust are able to invest in that particular building as well. So that marks the start of those building improvements here at Waikari. And then at more of the grassroots level, we've engaged our own whānau to be on site. We've got a monthly schedule where whānau come and participate in our urupa maintenance, grounds maintenance, and then we've been putting out a lot of volunteer where whānau have come into our wharenui and just exercising a lot of manaaki or care and protection on our buildings. And again, that's reconnecting our whānau back to our marae. And finally, on my report here is to do with the restoration of our wharenui. So a much wider project, a lot more comprehensive, but that is around the care and protection of our wharenui. So a much longer term plan, but certainly something that we're excited to be embarking on as well. Whenua?
Kia ora.
I'll hand the rākau back to you.
Are there any questions, family, before I finish it off?
Any questions?
Thanks, Em. Sit down on. Okay. Thank you, Emily. Kia ora anō. Just to follow on from Emily, with regard to the wharenui, it's a project that we've been wanting to do for quite a number of decades, actually. You'll notice in here that we have po that are not carved, etc. There are some aspects of our wharenui that were the original carvings that go back at least 350 years, when this wharenui was located down at the bottom of Marapihi Road by the railway bridge. That place is called Tamania. That was our original pass site, on the flat and up on the hills. If you go right down the end of the road, you go up and you drive down a hill to the water. There's a council area there before you walk across the railway bridge, etc. So that used to be our old wharenui, our own old pass site actually. And so the things that were moved, the original carvings that were moved from down here up, from down there up to here was Potoko Manua, the central po there. Everything else was pretty much built in between 1879 and 1881, as per the little plaque up that you've read. And on the rūro itself, the original carvings on the doorway and above and the window, the experts have told us they date back 300 to 400 years old, those carvings. The ones on the front of the maihi and the amo, the maihi is the apex and the amo are the pos on the side. They were done in the 1960s, 1970s by one of our local carvers of the Whiriaitu family, the father. And but unfortunately, while he started a project of recarving the house, he died prematurely through his wounds that he received in the Second World War when he came back. And so unfortunately it's been a long time coming. And so the project, to summarise, is to carve the inside of the house, the pub, that's a biggie. That's a real big one. You'll notice around the moana, some of the maraes have been doing that, and I hope, being a young man, that I will see the end of it when it has the outcome. But I just hope that we can get it started and get a good team going and see what happens. So we do have a good resources of people to do that, with carters and other people planners, etc. So that's the Whanui project. Moving on to the other things I just want to quickly cover, and I don't want to go on too long, is Papakainga. Now, we had an old plan called the Marapihi Land Use Plan, 2008-2009, where it covered Papakainga areas designated, etc. Unfortunately, I think there was one up in Honga Torozi, and sort of half of one down here, but we didn't really fulfill that plan. And it's time that we revisited it. And in about 2015, we did our hapu management plan. So what we're going to do is upgrade both of those, combine like we always do with our cousins down the road of Mai Tukarangi at Honga Toro Marae, and combine into the new Matapihi Community Plan, which will not only cover Papakainga and housing, but all other aspects of our lovely peninsula here. And that is something that we've just started discussions between the two hapu and marae in terms of that kaupapa, and we need to get something started by forming obviously a combined committee of some sort. But we amongst ourselves can talk about that and get onto it, and these are the things, for the reasons that's written here. I'm not going to read it out, you can read it yourselves, why we do want to further our aspirations. In our Marapihi Land Use Plan, we did increase something like about 15% of housing. It had a little bit of an increase, but then it sort of slowed down and stopped. And through not only the plan itself, but also the status of the zoning of this land, etc., sort of we wanted to keep it at rural and maybe into a type of rural residential type of zoning. We have the two marae community zones within, and that was good because that increased from 20 to 50 houses, and I don't think we've even fulfilled those numbers yet. So we have a bit of expansion to carry on with, but we do it. The whole purpose is to fulfill the aspirations of our people wanting to come home and live on their land instead of paying rent somewhere else. In Tauranga, we've got the land here. We should be and need to use it. How we do that, we know, is up to us, and that is what we basically intend to do. I asked Emily to put a little footnote there about pipeline. Yeah. I think the last meeting we had at Honga Toro, we mentioned that, and we talked about expansion of it, of servicing other houses, other potential expansion, development, etc., etc. There were a heck of a lot of issues that we had to cover, zoning of the area being one of them, plus many others. Numbers, what the cost is, etc., etc. But I think we did lay the foundation even back then, and it culminated in when they actually, from memory, when they actually laid the pipeline, they did add something to it which will allow them to hook into an extended expansion. There are certain parts of the pipeline that run through where pump stations can be added. For instance, we have it going through the main road, basically. It does come down Waikari Road on a bit of a detour, but there are areas on the other intersections where there are junctions that can come from other side streets. So at least some of it is already there under the ground. And so it's something, and we do know that we need, in order to justify that, we have to build up our number of houses as well as connect the existing ones. And I believe there's about 260 houses in Marapehi. During the upgrade that the council did do by allowing the kura and the two marae and the houses within that corridor to hook into, I think service about 80 in round figures. So that of 260 is about 180 that is still not connected. Plus what our aspirations are to get more housing. So that is what is going to happen, yet to happen, and we need to start the planning now between Waikari Marae, Honga Honga Koro Marae, our two hapu, and get ourselves moving. Nō reira, komiku taku kōrero, he pātai. Any questions?
Any questions, comments, members for Whenua? Kia ora.
No, thank you. Kia ora tātou.
Because this presentation is in two parts, I'll move to the acceptance of the reports after the second part of the presentation. This is from Marika. Kekone.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Kia ora tātou katoa. Ngā mihi nui ki te pai, ki ngā kaikorero, kua tuku nā atu ngā mihi, ki o tātou mate, ki o tātou atua, ki o tātou manuhiri, kua tai mai tēnei rā, ki te kaupapa, kei te tū, i roto i te whare nei. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa. He tino mihi nui ki ngā kai mā takitaki, ngā whānau o Matapihi, kua tai mai, i karanga atua hau ki etahi o rātou, ki te hara mai nā te mea ko tēnei kaupapa nā rātou, me ki nā rātou. Hui anō, kia huri atua hau ki te reo, kia mārama aku kōrero kia tātou katoa. You have a copy of the culmination of a project that's been going for probably 14 months, but probably could have been longer. I tonoed for the funding for this from the Deep South Challenge, Te Aho, the Māori section, when I had COVID. I was at home, stuck, bored, had retired from the Ngaitarangi Runanga after 10 years there in education. And I wondered, what is it that is going to most affect the future of my mokopuna? And it was obvious because I live beside the sea and there were the mangroves. As I thought about Matapihi and the future of my mokopuna and the mokopuna of Matapihi, I thought it has to be a look at our taiao. Because even though we have two outstanding taiao, kaitiaki taiao, in Hayden Henry and Kia Maia Ellis, they do the mahi for the iwi, the hapu, the whānau, tauranga moana. And I felt that nothing was being done about Matapihi itself. Definitely some things being done, but not enough to make me feel comfortable about those mangroves out there, about the black swans that are embedded in Waipu Bay below my house. I want to acknowledge my hapu of Whareroa, who are way ahead of the game. Koutou, Nathan, wa koutou mahi, this work is not to take anything away from the work that has been done by Ngāti Kuku in relation to their situation. However, this kaupapa is a culmination of intensive consulting of the 3 marae communities, and then opened up to the whole hapori. But maybe a little bit more can be done in that space. I've only got 15 minutes, and so I'm known for procrastination and a whole lot of things, but too bad. This is my moment, and it's actually the moment of the Matapihi community to emphasize its mana motu hake, to bring back its mana motu hake. Because for years, as I'm in my mid-70s or early 70s, and I see Matapihi as a community that's been suffocated by the Port of Tauranga and many other things, including our kāwanatanga authorities, if you like, the councils and whatever. But there's a two-way thing in that. We have, in my view, apart from those of us who are working in councils, we have in the main remained silent. We have not spoken out strongly enough. We have not participated strongly enough as tangata whenua. And I'm talking about our whānau, where the whānau knows what's happening. We have not participated enough, I feel. So this was a privilege for me to be involved in. And I say me to be involved in because I wasn't the only one involved in it. So it was a privilege to see how gradually our whānau came to the fore. So in the last wānanga, 4th wānanga held, there were 50 people at the club. And that's actually really good for Matapihi. So we built up over the 4 wānanga held. All right, I'm going to move. I guess that expresses the key value of our whenua as taonga. Look, can I just have you people who have been involved, and I asked the school tamariki to stay here to represent them so that they hear what is said here. But can I just have a hand from those who participated in the wānangas, from the Matapihi community, because you know, this is for you. And if I say anything wrong, put your hand up. If it's a lie, put your hand up. Yeah. Okay. You see the bank pledge on He Mihi Aroha? Well, I've just done that. Well, it's a big story about my computer. It's gone out. And sending that Mihi Aroha. But also, this blank page emphasizes and brings light to the fact that many of our strong leaders of Matapihi, and we have many, they fill important positions at a local, regional and national level. And so at the moment, my son is in Hawaii having something to do with the kiwi fruit. He's chair of the Māori kiwi fruit. We've got Carlo, who is working with you, Anthony. We have Dr. Riri Ellis. We have quite a number of people from Matapihi who have capability and skills to be operating in the out there. But did Anaru come to any of the wānanga? No, he did not. And so the point I want to make here is not that our leaders are capable people in those fields who have certain skill sets and knowledge. My point is we support them to do those jobs because they are carrying our voice out there. But who's looking after the mangroves down below my place? Who is concerned about the puna that have disappeared from Matapihi? Almost all of them have disappeared, and they were all through Matapihi. I think Matapihi has been, I've seen a written document that it has one of the best soils in the country. And that's reflected in our childhood, where food grew right through here. And so just mention that, is that who is looking after our whenua and our moana and its health and its oranga. Oranga whenua, oranga taiao, oranga tangata. And that showed in COVID when we were locked down. I was one of the first people locked down because I came back from Australia on the day that our Prime Minister called that if you came back from outside, you had to lock down. I think it was a Monday. I was over there for the Australian kapahakas. And we were locked down on a little papakainga further up in Matapihi. And in that experience, I realized how beneficial it was for us to be connecting and sharing in our little papakainga. And food, well, I was lucky. I had whānau who were not locked down, because I had come from outside of New Zealand. So they, of course, dropped off the box of vegetables and the box of, all ordered from out there. That's not going to happen if ever we are isolated. And we need to go back and strengthen our food growing that our parents and grandparents survived on. That was our oranga. And the soils of Matapihi and the puna were a key to their work there. So here I go, procrastinating again, so let's move on. Turn to page 6, is it? I haven't got my glasses, but please, you're the very first to see this. It hasn't even been seen to the funder to be approved, so it is in draft form, and it is not safe to distribute it anywhere else. I'll be sharing it with Matapihi people to see if it's okay, but the writer was Alva Conroy, not myself. Even though in a group of 35 master students at Auckland University in 1995, I was given an award for writing, top award, along with one other master student. When it came to writing this report, I just couldn't. We had so much material. And of course, this is 20-something years later, and I just couldn't. And so Alva came to the rescue. So this is her work but all of the information gathered at the four wānanga was sent to Alva. Pictures, films, interviews, all sent to Alva, and she has put this together. So thank you to her and acknowledgement of her. You'll see on, is it page 5, or somewhere in this document at the beginning about our project, I'm on that page. Hei matapihi ki te ao. Hei matapihi ki te ao can be called a kiwaha, a special group of words put together. I use hei matapihi ki te reo to express the importance of reo. Ko te reo, hei matapihi ki te ao. Matapihi ki te ao, not matapihi ki te reo. Ko te reo, hei matapihi ki te ao. All right, our language is a window into our world and provides the foundation for going out into that world. So, hei matapihi ki te ao. For different people, it may be that waka ama, hei matapihi ki te ao. It can be that kapahaka, hei matapihi ki te ao. But all of those, that kiwaha connects cultural practice, cultural taonga and values as a way of expressing the Māori worldview. Okay, move over. Okay, you'll see on page 6, aroha mai whānau, because you know what I'm talking about, because I'm going to be, you were at the wānangas. You haven't got a copy of this. Project aims and outcomes, you can read that through when you get a chance. Okay, 5 minutes left, right? Alva has added a couple of maps there, so move on. there really was a push to have our 3 maraes. And I went to the maraes committee meetings, 3 here at Ngāti Tapu, including the club at the back, one of their meetings. For me, it was important that whānau should have the opportunity to share their views on this kaupapa of taiao and to contribute, to learn and to share. And so the 3 maraes needed to be a kipo of that. But there have been other families, our community is involved, and one of our whānau who are not tangata whenua and who are not Māori, they played a key role in providing some answers. They have regenerated a repo further down Matapihi. They've regenerated this huge, brought back the watercress apparently. So that was, you know, it's important that even though I'm going on about our Māori, it's actually about the whole community. It's about the whole community, right? I've probably got 5 seconds. How do you share with your whānau? How do you share, how does the community share? Well, now, what counts as mātauranga matapihi? What counts as mātauranga matapihi? What counts as tikanga these days? Those are areas where every Māori community in the country, as far as I'm concerned, are in different places. There are challenges because my generation did not grow up in Te Reo. But what's the new generation learning? What's rangatahi learning in terms of mātauranga Māori and tikanga? So artists had a key role here. Kelsey Taratoa has gone to live over in Vietnam. Okay, so he was a great help in this. So I'm going to leave that page because now I'm 5 minutes after. You will see a description of the 4 wānanga held, wānanga 1, the hikoi held, and so it goes on. All of the wānangas, you will see something on the artists and the connection to whenua. Actually, one of the artists is my daughter, Kelsey Aroha Noa Matthews. And okay, so those 3, Kelsey, Aroha and Mariah, participated in the last wānanga. They presented. So I'm not going. You can read all that. Because what I want to go to, there was so much done in this. So you know. No whānau in Matapihi can complain that they were not consulted or did not have the opportunity to share. I don't make a judgment of those whānaus that didn't turn up to the wānangas. You know, if we look at our history and our past, and I could spend another 15 minutes doing that, if we look at some of the histories of Matapihi and other Māori communities in Tauranga Moana, it's not a surprise that many of our whānau, I mean, I've worked in the local schools, it's not a surprise that many of our whānau may have different priorities. So, yeah.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
Awesome, Damahi, I know how much effort you put into gathering all that, and I think it's good to make a point of how collective that's been. If you were to say 2 or 3 things that council could help with as a result of what you've pulled together, what might they be?
I think the most pressing one is the mangroves. Because over there at Orua Matua, it's all filled up from the ASB Stadium or the Mercury Stadium right across that bay, Matire. So that's going to go in. That's going to go into Rangataua Bay. But Waipu, which is especially to Ngai Tūkairangi and Ngāti Tapu, because we have Waipu in our waiata. Waipu is the pathway for our wairua. Waipu, we have it in our waiata. And so it's the mangroves. So here's what happened in the mangroves issue. When we had a hikoi there at Whareroa, one of our hikois, one brother, the older brother, went with his machete because he was absolutely furious to cut his 80, this one, cut down the mangroves. The younger brother has written a piece on how mangroves nurture sea life. So we need more knowledge and more success stories about how communities have managed mangroves. So that's one. The puna and the return of puna, that could be a look at the water table in Matapihi. And yes, we know and brought up about our Tukarangi orchard, but they're not the only orchard in Matapihi. We have an avocado orchard at the back of my home. It's not just a Tukarangi orchard, but how is the kiwi fruit industry, or the horticulture and the use of sprays, etc., affecting Matapihi? But where is our quality water? Because one of the kiwi fruiter said when he started his orchard 20 years ago, this was the water quality. And when he finished, he's retired now, it was bad test. All right, so mangroves and puna. But also what I found was, hey, Matapihi people are under siege, and I'm sure so are the other Māori communities. You get at Matariki time, 6 schools want you to go to the hangi, and it's so important. Then you've got education, justice, health. We need a project coordinator for Matapihi, resource unit, or to begin to forward, and you've got a thing on next steps here, to begin to forward some of these, but mangroves are frightening, I think. But we don't know about them. I don't think we know enough about them. So anyway, that's the guts of it, Mr. Chair. Aroha mai for motaku whakaroa I a tātou. I probably could have spent half a day telling you about this, because I think that it's also for other Māori communities and to have a go. We have a whakatauki, engari anō te ngari i te kore rawa. Have a go rather than just leave it. And of course, that's what we've done here at Matapihi. Wakataite is here, the Pakeke Kōrero Club of Matapihi, which includes Ngā Pōtiki and Pukenga people, has been paramount in supporting this kaupapa. Kathy is here, so yeah. The Kura, I went there 5 times, but they were finalists in the Nationals down Nelson, and they just couldn't give but those things need to be worked on. But yeah, Carlo, that's what I think. Whether or not anyone else thinks it's mangroves and puna, that's what the Pakeke said, because they remember their place. They remember how they were brought up and what they were brought up in. Okay, ka pai,
Kia ora, ngā reta. I just need to take a little bit of time now to ask if there are, to invite any questions or comments from the committee.
Can I?
I
Kia ora. I'm so pleased that you've had time to present this, because now I know what you're talking about when you emailed me. Look, congratulations. It's a great piece of work. Well done. I agree with you, the mangroves, but isn't that really the tip of the iceberg? It's actually what's causing the mangroves. It's the real what we've got to get to the bottom of. Because yes, they might form a home for a different type of fish, but it's actually, what are the runoffs doing? What's the effect that's having on the different, particularly waiho, but the moana in particular? And that you're right. That needs the whole community, because that is runoff from kiwi fruit. It's runoff from land use. So we can make a note of that. There's some really good information in here. I wish I'd had some of that a bit earlier, actually, to explain about Matapihi, but it's really good, so congratulations.
I think that I've worked in education, justice and health. And what I've come across, like Waikato University Council, Awanuiarangi Council is probably, and what I've come across is that whānau are not getting the connection, they're not getting the comms, They're not contributing, they have a lot to contribute, but they have to be nurtured. Sometimes they brush you off, but you gotta keep
Well,
on.
sometimes some whānau do frustrate.
Yeah, but you know, unless we take responsibility ourselves, we're not going to go that far. We're going to go as far as what's happened in the last 100 years. And even though the last, I think, 20 have been brilliant with our younger people coming up, yeah, our whānau, mana motu hake and tino rangatiratanga are absolutely important. And our whānau, I feel they've got the goods. If you can work out how much steam pudding and what the ingredients are to make steam pudding for 50 people and then make it for 200, women in the wharenui, in the wharekai, then you've got to have something up here, and we do, even though we may not have, you know, different people have different things to contribute, and whānau, I got every faith in whānau. Kia ora.
Kia ora, nare, we've got a question from Buddy.
Can it be a golden syrup one?
Narita,
Well,
there's still some questions that...
what I wanted to ask Kare is, so have you or are you intending to put this in front of regional council as well?
Yeah. I thought about this, and I know that I have talked with Carlo and Anthony about a community plan, and I heard that for today. It was really important that if it's a community plan, that this belongs to this community, and that it seeks connections and partnerships with, you are our kaitiaki, you're our #1 kaitiaki of Matapihi, the Tauranga City Council. And it must be the first people we go to say, look, this is the situation we're in. But Bay of Plenty Regional Council have also been involved in this project. Not sure if the acknowledgements are in here, I don't think they are, but yet, this is still draft. In terms of the buddy, I forgot the nut of your...
Council, regional.
Yeah, regional council, yes, we're going there, but there are also things like Vision Mātauranga, and like, so we got our funding from the Deep South Challenge. You know, so there are, we want to maintain that mana motu hake, but Tauranga City Council is our kaitiaki, our #1 kaitiaki. Yes, Bay of Plenty Regional Council, but you know, they're the whole place. So definitely we'll go there. And Matamona's been involved in our wānangas, and probably our people who work in the councils are absolutely frustrated by ngā reta. Because I have been so slow and so slow, but I've done that because I've been at some tables, you know, with not being at a table, anyone's table has been good for me, because I can see how what happens over there ain't coming down here to where I am now. And so that's why I've taken years to do this consulting and totally brass probably Carlo off everything, but yeah.
Kia ora, we've got time for 2 more questions.
Kia ora whānau, mahi kia koe and the hapuri. I really like the succession planning in here with your toa takutai for our rangatahi, and I was going to ask the same question as Buddy, and the other thing was, when we're talking about the mangroves, is it, I'm not too sure if you're wanting to get rid of them, or are we replenishing them, or I got a bit lost in
I
that.
don't know, and I think that's where we need more expert help.
Research.
Yeah.
What the kaumātua said who lived, they said that the puna provided the, what do you call it, filtered. The puna filtered bad things that go into the moana, but we don't have any puna now. And so, you know, that needs to be looked
I
at.
just want to put a note on that, because I know that over in the Western Bay, when they took out our mangroves in Pirirako, they became more muddy and we lost quite a bit of kaitio titiko and things like that. So they do really have such good benefit, mangroves, and I just wanted to mihi.
And so over at Orua Matua, where the mangroves is filled up between the ASB and the Matapihi piece that comes out, you know, the back highway, you'll see all these mangroves. We used to swim in the streams that those mangroves now cover. So yes, there's more.
One more question.
Sorry, just
Shad.
it's probably not a question, but just a comment. It's a really good piece of work, and I think thinking about the Matapihi land use plan, this will be a really informative piece to contribute toward the land use plan, because it'll identify those areas which are, like as you say, susceptible to climate risk and climate change and impact, and from a you know, whether it's erosion, and there's a bit of that happens around Matapihi, whether it's inundation from the moana, whether it's rainfall, flooding, you know, because we get these variations, we get high rainfall some years. So those kinds of things, I think, that you're drawn through the report will really help. And then it gives kind of a base layer of, actually, should we be putting people in those areas? Is it safe to put housing and development in those areas? So it kind of helps inform, actually, how you plan and how you develop into the future. So this is a great base, I think, to inform that Matapihi land use plan.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
I just want to acknowledge Tuana Kuka.
Yep.
He's been awesome. He comes to Pakeke Kōrero Club. Pakeke of Matapihi meet down at the Zone Cafe. We drink flat whites and green tea.
Just nice.
And then here, Wakataiti is the leaders. He turns up without fail there. Every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Anyone's welcome and want to share anything that's critical to us. We've been meeting for 4 years. And you know, when there are kaupapa and Matapihi being done out there and no one's bothered to come and tell us because they've got any Tuesday, that's when I start thinking these people are not letting our whānau know. These people are not letting out. I think going forward, Shadrach, is that's one of the key things, is to tell some key people so that they can tell the rest of the whānau and keep the whānau together, at least having the opportunity to participate and contribute. Yeah, kia ora.
Kia ora, kia ora. Okay, so this is we're actually seriously running over. So just one more question. Like, we're seriously running over, so it has to be a quick response too, please.
Yeah, Kawa asked about what the council could do. You could remove the resource consent. You have to have to remove mangroves. So that's another.
Yeah.
As I say, Nathan, we probably need some of your expertise. We need you to come in on. I know that you're dealing with whareroa. That's a huge job. Your situation is a lot of now. But we actually don't know whether they should be removed or whether they should be left here. As I say, we have different views in our whānau, so we need help with that.
Kia ora.
Mr. Chair, maybe just to, for the purpose of the minutes, maybe what Takawana was discussing, how we could facilitate to help out. And bear in mind, Takawana will go and lean on the goodwill of other departments to try to get involved. But the notes we're seeing is to get the sustainability team involved here. They've got a lot of expertise across some of the environmental management. That might be able to do that. I want to acknowledge Regional Council and our staff and Western Bay staff who all came to some of these wānanga to share their expertise, to have that discussion. And I think you're right on, Ian, in terms of trying to get to that cause, because the mangroves that have popped up, whether you remove them or not, is quite debatable and it's worth discussing there. And the other one, I think that would be a key group within Council, would be the stormwater team who they have, I think, off memory, about 1,500 outlets across the city, and actually can only monitor around about 10 to 15% of them. So they need to be really strategic on which ones they choose when and how. So I think off the back of a kōrero today, we can make a case to prioritise some of these ones around here so we can marry up the puna, how they feed into some of the stormwater discharges and what impact they're having up there. So just for the purpose of the minutes, I thought we were covering those things.
Yeah.
Okay. Kia ora.
I just want to say about koutou kei whareroa is that you will not see much of the case of whareroa in this report. And that's been done on purpose. To me, the whareroa, the situation, I was brought up at whareroa. And Waikari, I was not brought up as a child at Hunarunga Toro Marae, which is where I will have my tangi episode. It's not that far off. But I was brought up at Whareroa. I know all those queers and proas, and here at Waikari.
Yeah.
And I can say that because when I got married in '72, that wharenui and hunga wasn't there. My money he had to sleep in a garage. But I felt that Nathan and Joel and Awhina have done so much work that that's a special case. But then this is not meant to take attention away from any of that. Hopefully Nathan, or Koutou, or Joel, you'll come in when you get a chance and advise on the Matapihi project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ka pai.
Kia ora, kia ora
Kia ora
tātou.
ngā reta.
Kia ora tātou. Ngā mihi tēnei ki a koutou o te whenua nei. Can I have a mover that the Ngāti Tapu Mai Tūkairangi Matapihi reports be received? Mātire, seconded by Buddy. All in favour? Aye. Aye. Kia ora tātou. Now, I've lost my place on my agenda.
It's your report.
Chairperson's report. I'm going to take the report as read. And I just wanted to say that if you didn't get the gist of the report was acknowledging the foundation that's been laid for relationships and positive involvement of tangata whenua with the council, and wanted to mihi to the commissioners for the role that you've played in actually in leading that. And yes, there is a prayer in there that the incoming regime will pick up and build off the foundations that you, the commissioners, the council, have laid for tangata whenua here in Tauranga Moana. So we are not in mihi tēnei kia koutou, and that's the summary of my report.
Kia ora. Mr. Chairman, can I thank you for your report? And just yesterday, so part of that relationship has involved trying to maintain some of what was there before in the committee structure, other than the Tangata Whenua committee, to have the voice of mana whenua sitting around the decision-making table. And we set up a committee called Strategy, Finance and Risk, and the Rangapu appointed three members to that. I'm looking at Mātere. Plus we appointed a specialist audit and finance person, and we also included the chair of Te Rangapu. We met yesterday for the last time, and we have put a recommendation through, a series of recommendations through to the incoming council to try and continue. Our recommendation is to continue that practice alongside Tangata Whenua Standing Committee, which has its own place in the relationship. But the benefit of having, particularly I think for us when we were talking strategy, finance, and some of the risks, and the development of things like the vision, like the values for the council, the direction where we wanted, the outcomes that we wanted for the community, and how we were going to achieve those outcomes. To have mana whenua sitting with us, bringing to the table not only their mana whenua perspective, but the expertise and the experience that they had as members of our community was important. And so those resolutions were passed and will go forward to the incoming council. So you've echoed a lot of that in your report, and just wanted to reinforce it our hope too is that the incoming council will build on the relationship that's been established. So kia ora tātou.
Kia ora. Any discussion or comment on the report, Shane?
I'm happy to move the report.
Seconded by Stephen. All in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Kapa now, we're moving on to Rangapu Mātiri.
Look, I'll take my report as read. I just wanted to quickly make some comments around the reflecting over the last 2.5 years as we go through the winding up of the commission. And also this being our last meeting with the commissioners, and that we will also go through a re-election through this cycle of the incoming local council. And so we will probably be, some of us might go and some of us might stay, but we'll just see how things pan out after the elections and whether, you know, Māori representation on council is still going to exist. And, you know, the Strategy, Finance and Risk Committee is also one of them, and could well be this one as well. So, yeah, so just be in positive light. You know, just we're still going to rock on. But I just wanted to sort of highlight some of the things that have happened, the best things. I've only picked out a few, and that was when Honourable Nanaia Mahuta announced the intern of the Commission to replace the dysfunctional behaviour of some of the elected members on council, who were not looking after the interests of the city and its people. And there was noticeable discontent around the communities. And we had observed racism and prejudices of certain elected members. I say some because there are a few good councillors, and some of them are looking at standing again for this election. The adoption by the commissioners to start and continue working towards the Māori ward for Tauranga City. Adoption for the inclusion of Tangata Whenua representation on council committees and council-controlled organisations. Robust consultation and engagement with Tangata Whenua, especially with Te Rangapu, with the Commission, council staff to discuss and co-design policies, reforms, LTP, local issues that affect Tangata Whenua, and many other things too. What we'd like to achieve and improve on is the implementation of our Te Aupukitanga strategic plan, elevation and adoption of the draft Māori engagement framework for all areas of council project, developing meaningful relationship with the incoming elected members, and the retention of Tangata Whenua representation on council committees. Gratitude goes out to the commissioners for their contribution and dedication. Each of you brings to the table specific skills, experience, logical thoughtfulness and mana to take the city forward. I should acknowledge your partners as well, letting us borrow you. I also want to thank the staff of council for your input and support towards engaging with Te Rangapu and putting up with us. I extend the gratitude to our Takawanga Māori unit, Carlo, Kieran, Ma and the team for their foresight, support, engagement and commitment, and navigate and keep us on track. And thank you, Anthony, for being the chair on my recommendation back then, and I hope that you do sit in this space moving forward.
Aye,
Kia ora.
Te toko.
Any questions?
Oh, I just want to endorse what you're saying, Mātiri, in spades. It's actually quite sad today that we're our last formal meeting with you commissioners. I'm actually dreading the election, to be honest. I have no confidence whatsoever going forward, but what you have done is given us the confidence to know that we have something to say, we have things to say that are important for the future of the city, and regardless of who ends up sitting in your chairs, we're going to keep going on that.
Yeah,
so, ngā mihi and all the best to you.
I just want to say the same sentiments like what Mātiri is saying, but especially on the reconsenting of the municipal take The commissioners could have taken the fast track way, but they've decided to go our way and work with Tangata Whenua on that reconsenting. You know, that's a biggie for us, and I'm just hoping that the new councillors that come in are not going to reverse that decision, I suppose, and try and take the easy way for them and go the fast track way. So, kia ora for that.
Any other questions, comments? Shad,
I'm happy to move the report.
Shad, move the report. Seconder, second by Bill. All in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Now, we're moving on to the Tangata Whenua Issues Updates report. Carla, your team.
I'm happy to take it largely as read, a few highlights there as usual. Off the back of our last hui at Haerengi with Maitiahi, there's been a lot of discussion here about trialling the opening of the slip lane there. And so pleased to see that that was raised earlier on in the week, and as an action it's getting traction. So I expect there will be a trial coming into that space. Are you okay? There's also I can confirm that the barrier arm is now up at Rahapari Way. Well, I can confirm in so far as I've seen the picture. So that's been a long time coming. So that's good. And I say that it is humorous, but we did have a car accident along there that wiped out part of the fence, and it was a good little warning sign that it did need to be addressed. So I'm glad to have got that far. I did want to also raise, Maitiahi had talked about resourcing for Hapu to have resource that is dedicated to be able to interact with us with such a huge program of work ahead of us. And that's something also that was raised by Ngāi Tūkairangi during the LTP process, and we've heard it again here today. And I think it's going to become more and more prevalent as we've upped our work program at council. I think we must be nearing 800 million per annum. At the same time, at Hapu's end, we're still relying on retrospective fees for them to be able to participate in a process. In other words, these people that come to these hui paid a meeting fee after the meeting. So to try and keep pace with us to be across everything that we've done is really difficult. And I think we're seeing the theme coming through of someone there. One idea that has been floated around, and it's really just to put it into the ether for consideration, is if we had one person at each of those iwi o hapu resourced at, say, a range of a kaiarahi, so somebody that could perform that similar role but is dedicated to that, and it might be council business but other business as well, that would come at around about a cost of less than $2 million to council, and in a scheme of a budget of 800 million. I think that's worth considering, because 2 million sounds like a lot to invest in our iwi and hapu, to front foot and allow them to have somebody that's keeping abreast of all our different movements. But actually, when you put it in the context of our budget and where it's gone from, in my time, 350 million to 800 million in my 7 years, that it might be getting to a point where that's a worthwhile investment. So just putting that into the ether for people to start thinking about how to marry those things up. Lastly, I guess I was sort of thinking about this being the last commissioners meeting, and on behalf of Takawanga, what might we put forward? We're always grateful for the kind words of our rangapu and our Tangata Whenua members, our kuia kaumātua out there by Ngārite, and also the commissioners. Barbara is acting CEO, but Māori when he's here as well, and our executive. It's always humbling, but I guess for us, we could probably capture the last few years with the commissioners in play with this little karakia, which goes something like he pau hihiri, he pau rārama, he pau o te whakaaro, he pau o te aroha, he pau e here nei i a tātou katoa, te tū whakamaua kia tīra. And what that really speaks to is a pau hihiri is something that should attract and inspire things. And I think if we look at right now, you've got 88 candidates in front of you. 3.5 years ago it was all about kick all the councillors out, throw them in a fire and hope it burns well. But over the course of this time, what we've done is we've got this community interested in coming back to the table and running the city. If we think about He Paurarama, it's about casting light on things. And I think what you guys have done is cast all the doors open. You've held hui like this out here in this community. You're not in behind any of the ivory towers, but you're actually out in the community. And it's not only for Māori that you guys have done that, but you've done it in community venues. You've been out to the Papamoa Ratepayers Association. You've been out to the Matua Lettuce Growers Association. You've been to everybody, right? So, but I think you've been very purposeful about that, and it's good to see how that reflects our karakia like that. He pau o te whakaaro, what you've done is you've brought all of thinking together, just like today. And I hope that the incoming council can see the value when you hui te marama and you get everybody around that table. And so a pau o whakaaro means you can actually be brave enough to bring those together, and you're still the decision makers. And then he pau o te aroha means you're doing that with compassion. You're allowing people to have their say, and you're incorporating that into the decisions, no matter how tough the decisions are. And so all of those pau serve to bring us all together. So I think, when we're thinking about the future, let's be excited about who these incoming councillors will be. It's going to be up to the community to vote them in and give us the people that are going to keep advancing the city. And I think you guys have been very brave, even in yesterday's kōrero. You're stretching out your mandate on what you can leave behind, but with good intentions to try and be as much support to the incoming council as possible. To our Tangata Whenua members, it's up to us to normalise that this is how tauranga is run. That we do it together, that we do it in good spirit, that we can have tough conversations, but whatever the decision is at the end of it, we bandy around together and we include our community in that. And when we do that, we can get good outcomes. I think about today's presentation from Ngāre and I think about a couple of weeks ago where there was a decision in principle to return 28 hectares around Ormanu, taking into account that some of it's raised platform, but some of it is rebel. Some of it is these margins we're exactly talking about, and to enable actually Tangata Whenua to get involved with improving those margins around Waipu to be able to see that. And not forgetting, after all, we have actually been leasing out 114 hectares to equestrian horse people doing nice stuff themselves for about 30 years quite comfortably for what I would probably call peppercorn rent. So, in order to think about Tangata Whenua and these things that are raised here, I think that courage to do the right things has been the thing that will stay with Takawanga the most. So, to the commissioners, all four of you, we have been proud to stand with you the whole way along. We have never felt like we have separated, despite many tough conversations, sometimes decisions that are different from what we are. We can express that, we can park that and move on to the next challenge. So we thank you, we wish you the best in your own private lives, and we look forward to sharing some of those with you. Kia ora taha.
Kia ora. Kia ora, Carlo.
Thank you, Carlo.
Ngā mihi kia koe, Carlo. Are there any questions for Carlo and or the team on the report?
I've got one, but thank you for those comments, Carlo, and thank you for the support that the Takawanga have provided to us in the 3.5 years. And yes, you're right, we've had some tough conversations, but we've always appreciated that opportunity to be frank and open, talk about what the difficulties are and look for the opportunities. And I think the community's been the richer for it. And it is our hope, and I like your optimism. I'm delighted that so many people have come forward, put their names forward to run the city, and from all walks of life. Don't be downcast, buddy. I'm sure. I'm always the optimist. But there's some great people standing. Shad and I've had the privilege to meet about a quarter of them, third of them. And look, yes, there's some unusual ones. I want to do this. I want to take our city forward. So I think that's great. My glad the we sort of stage.
Yep.
I'd hate for it to sort of disappear into the murk.
We'll add it
So we can add it in.
in.
Yeah. Other than that, there's only one red.
Yeah, and probably again I actually.
Coffee for us.
Yeah, sorry. And I said to her, I think we forgot to take that read out too, because that's one that was beyond our control
Yeah.
in terms of that particular playground up there. So
Yeah.
just missed that one, sorry. We've got to do.
Bill.
Thanks, Chair. Not a question, just when we first came together, what we decided was in terms of having this action list, because it's important, particularly, and I really value the presentations as we've gone round, all them arrive from Tapu, in terms of the particular issues, matters they'd like to see, council involvement or others. I think carrying on.
Kia ora, kia ora, Bill.
I think it's good to acknowledge,
Yeah.
Yes.
in our region over that time. Coming from you guys to get out and about and to be able to do that, and some of it's scheduling, but a couple of them were unlocked, and it was a big deal as I look back on things to get to Waimapu. Waimapu's one that had not been open and available, and we've been able to do some stuff with them, and there's still some stuff on the list as well.
Yeah.
But,
Kia ora, kia ora Carla, kia ora tātou. So can I, pohiraki, all in favour?
All right.
Carried. Report item, Haidini Street Bus Lane. And hand over to Sean Good.
We are able to implement something that is permanent and safe for the community, while also has been brought. So what we're proposing that is based on the data that we've been given, down to the time period where we'll have minimal amounts of vehicles using this Harini Strink route rather and turning left onto Turret. So the quick numbers are, you'd be, even in the PM peak, the afternoon peak, you'd be getting an extra 100 odd cars going down Harini Street using that as a route, rather than taking, I guess, the long or the normal way. And we're just concerned about those vehicles travelling at a quicker speed and really creating safety concerns, in particular from that community on the Marae side through to the shops, and there's no real pedestrian crossings there that would allow for that safe movement to occur. So the trial would allow us to move that time period around. It is much easier to not have to put the cat back in the bag, is the expression that I'd be using. So it's much easier to expand the amount of time that general vehicles can use rather than contract it, because that's a much more difficult thing to communicate to the community of, no, you can't use this anymore. Whereas if, say, that starting at 7 PM change to starting at 6 PM, that's an easy change of a sign. We can update that wording and people get to know it with very minimal communication out to that community. So I wanted to, I think the idea of presenting it here was that we would gather what your views of this are, so that we can hopefully progress with a trial based on that originally will, I think the plan is, that will implement fairly quickly, and then review the trial in December at a first instance.
Oh, sorry, have you?
Yeah.
Didn't mean to interrupt you, Sean. I just want, just before I pass open for questions and comments, could I just clarify that at the beginning you said you were directed or required to bring this report here, and I picked up the words for approval. Is that what you're seeking?
Yes. So the resolution that we passed
Right.
on Monday
Subject.
is subject to
Okay.
the outcome from this meeting.
Right. Okay.
Good.
All right. So now I'm just going to ask, open up for questions, comments, and just to let you know that I've also we've had a request for questions from Pio Kawe, which I've approved. So I'll pass to you shortly, Pio. So
No, that is what I was going to.
okay, right. Yeah. So just from the committee, any questions, comments?
Sorry, just thanks, Sean, for the report. We did discuss this on Monday, and I suppose from our point of view, thought it would be useful to bring it here. I think from our our kind of discussions that we've had is we were seeking something, kind of. I suppose we saw the issue as being particularly morning peak when you've got a lot of people trying to head to work. Afternoon peak, everybody's heading back the other way, and thought it would make sense to open it and restrict it during the morning peak. Although since then, and reviewing your report, or the Stantec report, it talks about the weekday traffic volumes, and you can see in the report the morning peak, and then it kind of evens off throughout the rest of the day and then drops off quite late in the afternoon. So I can see your rationale around the 6 p.m. through to the 7 a.m. in the morning.
7
Or was it, sorry, 7 p.m. to 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. I suppose the question that I had, and I think I mentioned it to you in the car park, is from a traffic flow perspective, there's kind of a threshold when you reach a certain number of vehicles on a road that things slow quite rapidly or actually come to a halt. And so I suppose where during the middle of the day it's about 1,000 vehicles. Are they moving at 50k?
50k.
60k.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was just wanting to get an understanding of what that.
Here would the vast majority. A bit of a backup in that morning peak when just due to the traffic on the Turret Bridge.
So difficult to, if we've got challenges in opening it up. Where is that tipping point in terms of the traffic flow?
There's actually two parts to this. So was that this lane that's being developed for the Haere turret project, which is a tidal flow across the bridge. It's the first stage in the 25-30 year plan, and we heard at the marae, they were there in the business case. So that's the first recommendation that we made, was that it actually be part they can do that, because that's the long-term solution. Then we said, short-term, is there something we can do immediately? And from a safety aspect, the staff are concerned at what would happen if we just open it up and check it. There's a particular part of, I can't remember the Act. Is it the Transport Act?
It's the Land Transport Street Layout Rule.
Right. There's a particular part of that allows us to do some trials over a period of 2 years, and we're using that in the centre city with the centre city layout, and the plan is to use that same bit here. So you don't have to go backwards and forwards to council. The staff can just make some changes without a bylaw, without going through a legislative, statutory process, as and when information comes to hand. So that's what you're proposing, that over the next 2 years, you could perhaps expand those out over a period of time and get the information as to the effect that it has, which will all be fed into the business case for the long term.
Correct, and as part of that trial, I'd definitely be planning to arrange regular catch-ups with the Marae, there being that they are much more in tune with the behaviour on that road than we are.
Yeah.
Okay, I pass to Pio.
Ki te whare tipuna hei tāwhara hi a rā I tā tātou nei huihuinga I te ata nei. Nō reira ngā mihi ka tika hoki nei I a koe puhirake, aro hoki nei te kano hoki nei e Ngāti Tapu, aro hoki nei, oh she's gone again. Nai tū kairangi ki a koutou hoki nei, hei whakatakoto hi a rā I ngā kōrero e pāna nei I o koutou nei, a wawata mō ngā tau ka heke mai nei, nō reira ngā mihi kaunoki nei ki a kōrua. E tautoko nā mema hoki nei o tēnei committee, tēnei hoki rā, te kai tautoko hia rā nau mātou nei, ka tua hoki nei ki tērā o ngā tāhuna ki ngā papako o rangataua, ara hoki nei ki a mātou nei, ngā titiko ki Waimapu. Nō reira tēnā tātou katoa. Thank you for to and the committee for and this is a big issue for our community at Haerini. Myself and our the bus lane was actually taken from our homestead. There first, and then thank you for the resolution going forward, and it's coming to this committee. I do just want to talk to the resolution and that from doing in terms of the upgrade from and Stantec and the material that you've got there. I haven't had the opportunity to read that material, but so to the meeting and have conferred with we need better comms on this COPA. For the information that is presented in the supplementary paper that is suggesting that we have a, and I'm just really supporting that we post that we of the roading team to come that are raised in the report, education and community for 2 years around something that has been imposed to navigate our Tauranga city. You to come to a hui that Irene will bring back to your around having this discussion, because well, Ngāti Ahi Hapu were very concerned when we had the two community who is at the marae, the wharekai was full. Not just with Ngāti Ahina, our local community, to make sure, and they've come to us several times to ask, well, what's the update on this? And we say, well, we've put it on the agenda. We're looking for the opportunity to work with you because you know, the issues that we raise around the actually together, around what our aspirations are, what a good matapihi community looks like, what a good haerengi maungatapu Welcome Bay community looks like, because we all have good connectivity communities, addressing it is their tidal approach or the big the opportunity to city work, because my cousins here at Waikari Ngāti Tapu, the same too as haerengi is. These networks that lead into Te Papa, lead into our city, the economic centre, to Matapihi, and then over here to Mawao, to the rest of right. So from our point of view, we stress to the committee, provide the opportunity for host, limiting it to the first hui. We want you know, other allies and collectively put a solution and a resolution to Tauranga City Council that is of benefit to everybody in the community. Nō reira, I roto ki tēnā, nā mihi hoki nei ki au. E noho nei hei kia ora tātou katoa.
So just wanted to then follow up on that, which was the invitation that will be extended. I'm just wanting to make sure that where the action lies from so that will be an invitation will be extended by Ngāi Ahi to the council post Matariki, so July, to attend an information / community hui.
One of a series, we would hope.
Yeah.
So in that case, you would want a resolution. So we just want to receive the report, and we probably need to, for this committee, to leave the matter to lie on the table until those hui have taken place. I mean, we were only pushing the staff in order to satisfy the needs of the marae, but the marae want time to talk it through with the staff. We perfectly understand that. We're very comfortable with that. That's the proper way to do it. So I'm happy to move then that we receive the report and we leave it lie on the table until the hui have taken place.
Can I just suggest a little bit of an edge on that, whether or not, and I'm subject to my whanaunga here, but whether or not it's supporting the trial in principle, because then it gives some surety to that.
Okay.
For the details to be worked through
at the
hui.
hui.
I think it's a little bit chicken and egg. I can see how we've been running the process to catch the commissioners here to give some of that surety, but it hasn't allowed the time to actually have that conversation with the whānau. I'm saying that if the whānau would rather just leave it lie than kaitapai, but if it allows you to at least secure a trial, preferable.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
It's about supporting the trial. The other thing I forgot to mention around the safety issues that was raised in the report, and the fear around the speed of traffic travelling down Haerengi Street to connect to Turret, is that the new provisions now in terms of pedestrian crossing. So there is a pedestrian crossing prior to Haukore Street. So there's clearly opportunity to put in, just like the other things outside the Mangatapu primary school, is that a Jarabah before you actually slow traffic down. As they enter and connect with the Torrey Road, and it also precedes the bus stop that is there, and it will kind of make it safe too, because that is the bus stop that all of our tamariki catch the buses from. So the opportunity to slow that traffic down there with Jarabahs is clearly there. The opportunity, like I said before, the community hui is around community education. Obviously signage would be good to come to that area as well, around reminding people around reducing those speeds. So just adding that in terms of that safety issues.
So you'd pick those things up in the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I
Just to add to that, sorry, just to add that.
I just want to get the resolution. Something like receive the report and endorse the proposed trial to open up with the Haerini Marae and that broad enough that you can, because you can then discuss all that, because it all comes under it. You happy with that?
Through Matamona was that what we've worked through
I got you there.
is approving in principle the bus lane, but what needs to then happen is a series of community hui that will be hosted by
There, Balkan Bay. So yes, that is a part of it, and we're just coordinating a time for Haerini to have that in.
Yeah.
So this is just endorsing exactly what.
When I was saying that was that it's just the short term we were trying to satisfy them.
Moved by Harry. So, kia ora tātou, ko tai mai te wā mo te mutungo tō tātou hui closed, but just before, because this is the last meeting, we're going to have a photo op out after karakia whakamotunga, and then we'll go in for
I can use the tātou, so they look at te kapi ki nei tui, o te kasa. E tō mātou matanui. O ngā korero i wanangi a tātou o te kaupapa o tēnei. Me te aroha, te waru tatu, ake.
Our sky is ready, so head in for kai.